So this one's risky because if anything is going to get me copyrighted, it's going to be film music. But today we're reacting to One of a Kind, which is the opening song from Netflix and Sony's new animated movie, Vivo. And the score here is composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. At least I know he wrote the songs. I don't know if he wrote the score. But anyway, this man is an absolute musical genius, and I really liked the movie. So I kind of want to pick apart what he's doing really well in terms of the arrangement of the song, because I really like hearing the Cuban style of music in a mainstream animated film. So let's get into this analysis. Oh, and just so you know, we're not using the music video because, again, I'm more likely to get copyrighted with that. So this Calliope introduction doesn't do much other than set kind of like the tone for the song, and it sounds really cool. I love the sound of the Calliope. I'm pretty sure it's just a music box in the movie, but Calliope is the closest instrument sound that I have to that.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the show is right this way, right this way. Hey.
So immediately we hear the tres. I can't speak. Can't roll my R's today. And Andres, there we go. His vocalizations like kind of like the gravelly edge to his voice adds, like I really like hearing it. It's kind of not what I expect to hear, but it adds a lot of character like to him, like establishing who he is and how he sings. And the tres is kind of not common. It's just Cuban guitar, but it sounds really pretty, and it kind of reminds me of the sitar.
Right this way. Hey, we have prepared for you a dazzling display. Right this way. So gather around, my friends, and here we go, presenting the one and only Vivo.
Now this is how you open a song. You hear as he does like this first minute introduction, how it builds more and more and adds more instrumentation. Like you heard the bongos and you heard the flute, and at that part you heard like the high brass, like the trumpets and stuff. And that's very common in Cuban music. I've had to play a lot of Cuban music for jazz ensembles and stuff, and they really love the high like screaming trumpets, which we'll hear more as the piece goes on anyway.
Friends, and here we go, presenting the one and only Vivo.
Also, when it comes to the mode of Cuban music, it kind of switches around, especially with this song. You'll hear a lot of parts that are in major, you'll hear a lot of harmonic minor and even natural minor, and I don't know how modal this song is because I haven't really unpacked it like that, and maybe we can do that right now. But we just heard the harmonic minor, how it goes from the second down to the raised seventh. Vivo! And you want it to resolve, oh! So it kind of cradles the root in the harmonic minor mode, and that's a really good way to establish like that we're heading somewhere big, especially if you have that crescendo like this and have the high brass take it like they do. So, you guys might hate me for this, but I think Lin is an overrated vocalist. I don't, like, it kind of annoys me how he just writes raps for himself, because, like, it really kind of taints the style. Not entirely, but the rapping, it just doesn't, like, feel like it fits the Cuban style as much. But I still really like his arrangement. And that kind of, did you hear the little brass descending there?
Gather round, let's go!
It's chromatic. It goes major third, minor third, second, first, if I'm not mistaken. That's just kind of how I perceive that in the moment, and I'm probably wrong because I'm just guessing. That's kind of what it sounds like, but I don't know. That's kind of a cute way of like establishing again the Cuban style that we're going for.
Okay, attendance is low, but this is just a hiccup. Once we begin our show, business is gonna pick up. We're 2 blocks from La Casa, it's not a new scene. This is a spot in the plaza, check out the routine.
So his lyricism here is really good. How like he kind of masters the rhyme schemes that he uses, and I really like the pizzicato strings in the background, just do it softly outlining the chords that are going to progress as the song builds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Vivo, the king of you. Oh, what's a king to do? Oh, baby, I think that you're ready to learn a thing or two. Watch me swing as I sing at you every single thing I can think of to make me scream.
Like, I said it annoys me how he writes like these raps like this, no matter like what style he's doing, but it's really impressive that he's able to come up with lyrics that creative.
To learn a thing or two. Watch me swing as I sing at you every single thing I can think of to make me scream.
Hey, lo le lo lie, lo le lo lie, lo le lo lie, le lo le.
So here we're on the major and we get the calliope back, and we have the higher strings going on in the background too, and the flute. And I really like this major part, especially how it's used later in the piece, and with the harmonies. With the harmonies and stuff that we established for it between Andres and Vivo. And yeah, we'll get more into that as it goes on later in the piece.
Andres, he sings.
Hey, lo le lo lie, lo le lo lie, lo le lo lie, le lo le. You and I, we're one of a kind, keeping time every time.
Oh, yeah. We are a part of a time on a tradition of timing and precision. You find us two musicians at top notch as we hopscotch the cup.
So when we're in this rap part, it's very similar to the previous one we had, except now we have the tres and the other percussion instruments. Excuse me. And they're outlining the same chord progressions that the pizzicato strings gave us in the first one. So you can hear, like, as we do these rap parts, we're kind of building up the piece of music, and it's building to a very sensational climax that you'll have to wait and see to hear.
Competition, the clock is talking and ticking. I'm rocking this clave rhythm. Now watch. As people drop the dollars and pesos, we do this all day, every day. So dame un beso, give me a kiss. Mwah. Be right back. Now watch this.
Hey, lo le lo lie, lo le lo lie, lo le lo lie, le lo le. You and I, we are one of a kind.
So that's something that builds. The first time they do You and I, We Are One of a Kind, it's just Andre singing it, but now it's both of them singing in harmony. And the point I'm getting at with all of this is that as the piece goes on, Lin-Manuel Miranda it is expertly building up the orchestra. Like, it starts soft as an opening song should, and then it really builds up to the finale. And I keep saying that, and I keep not getting to the finale, but just trying to get you to stick around.
Keeping time every time.
You may be thinking, what's a kinkajou doing playing music in Cuba? Don't you like usually live in the rainforest?
So now that we have a flashback in the context of the movie, the piece kind of softens again, which is a good thing to do. If you have a really big section towards the middle of the piece, you can't keep it big for the rest of the piece, otherwise it won't be very interesting. So it's a good thing that Lin decided to slow down the backgrounds a lot and just have the rapping with kind of like a softer section. And I'm pretty sure this one does use a different chord progression than the previous two rapping sections we've had, which kind of establishes that we're in a different setting. Like, he's not talking about the present, he's talking about the past now. So again, this is really good arrangement technique. This is really good composition technique from Mr. Miranda.
You may be thinking, what's a kinkajou doing playing music in Cuba? Don't you like usually live in the rainforest? Maybe I fell in a ship and created as a baby. Next thing I knew, I was somewhere new. I wasn't singing the same chorus. All I remember was being hungry and running from somebody even hungrier, chasing me up this very tree. But guess who came to the rescue with his tres? Andres, yes, and he blessed me with his melody.
So that, if you notice in there, how the score kind of builds as he's talking about how he's getting chased, that's kind of good. I talked about that when I reacted to The Bells of Notre Dame, how a lot of the time when you have opening songs to a movie like this, and they're telling a story, you kind of establish a lot of leitmotifs in the background with the orchestra, how you're kind of not only telling the story with the lyrics, but also with the instrumentation, and any composer that can do that is extremely gifted.
But guess who came to the rescue with his tres? Andres, yes, and he blessed me with his melody.
Where did you come from, Chiquito? You really love music, don't you?
So this does a good job of making you feel kind of relaxed.
Come down from the tree, you can stay with me. But what will your name be? Hey, you're so full of music and life, and I have the perfect name for you. Vivo!
And that right there is probably the best example in this entire piece of like a fully established Cuban style of music. So we're gonna go back and listen to the instrumentation again as this builds.
The tree, you can stay with me. But what will your name be? Hey, yours.
So the piano doing stuff like that is very trademark of Cuban music, and that's present in every piece I've played that is Cuban, in the Cuban style for jazz ensembles and even like concert bands and stuff. You always have the piano like in the higher register, doubled on the octave, and doing some kind of like chromatic thing that always resolves back to some funny note. And I probably did not explain that very well at all, but that's very trademark of the Cuban style of music that we usually hear in jazz.
But what will your name be?
Hear that in the piano, how it kind of like chromatically goes up to the fourth.
Hey, you're so full of music.
And then we get like this syncopated rhythm in the trombones. Bum, boom, bum, bum, boom, bum.
But what will your name be? Hey, you're so full of music and life.
That's on the flute too, and the flute goes up to the higher register as we add the higher register trombones.
And I have the perfect name for you.
And you hear the saxophones ripping there. I'm sorry, I'm really picking this apart because I love playing the Cuban music in jazz groups, and this is just so much fun to listen to for me.
Hey, you're so full of music and life, and I have the perfect name for you. Vivo.
And then we have the trumpets in the lower register, and then they take it way up the octave. And we hear a lot of chromaticism in this Cuban music, like we heard in the piano and then the trumpets, and how it always builds. Like it increases by half steps a lot of the time, or even whole steps, just to get to the root. And it's unique. You don't hear that in many other styles of music around the world, and I really love hearing it here.
Perfect name for you. Vivo.
So the trumpets have da 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 da, and the only difference between when they do the da 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 is that it's raised a half step. And it's just like part of the progression that gets us up to the root, which is their high note.
Won't you pass the hat right along like that? Won't you pass the hat? Yeah, if y'all like that, won't you pass the hat? It's Vivo, I'm faster than your average cat. And if y'all like that, won't you pass the hat right along like that?
So now we're fully establishing kind of like the harmonic minor. I guess it's harmonic. It's kind of hard to tell because it doesn't usually hit the seventh, but and I really like this part of the song especially because this is kind of when we give up on the rapping and we just fully commit to the fact that we're doing just like a Cuban fanfare song.
Like that, won't you pass the hat? Yeah, if y'all like that, won't you pass the hat? It's Vivo, I'm faster than your average cat. And if y'all like that, won't you pass the hat? Right along like that, won't you pass the hat? Yeah, if y'all like that, won't you pass the hat? Yeah, I've adapted to my habitat. You and I, we are one of a kind.
Now this is absolutely brilliant. So we have this bridge. If y'all like that, that's the bridge. And after we're done with the bridge, we kind of like build through the second time, and then we cut back and have the high brass doing like their staccatos.
Adapted to my habitat. You and I, we are one of a
Da da da. You have that kind of building thing as they go back to kind of like their pre-chorus, the one of a kind line, and they do it in harmony. And this harmony that they establish here tells us that we're building up to something big.
Yeah, I've adapted to my habitat. You and I, we are one of a kind. Keep in time.
And how they split there, and Lin echoes Senor Marcos.
Of a kind. Keep in time. Right on time.
Okay, so we are harmonic minor because Lin goes. I'm not gonna try to sing it. It's right on time. Then that. Sorry, I can't. I'm not gonna try pretend like I can sing. But that raised seventh is kind of that indicates to us that we're harmonic minor, which is a favorite for Cuban music, especially if we're building to such a big climax.
Keep in time. Right on time.
Like that's just brilliant. Like we want that to resolve so badly, but it sounds so nice.
Keep in time. Right on time.
And right now we're full ensemble. We have the chorus in the background singing the bridge as these two sing the chorus. And this is the first time where we have major harmonies in here, which it doesn't do much for the arrangement, but it creates a cool contrast that makes it really pleasing to listen to as part of the climax. I'm sorry. I meant it's harmonies in open fifths, because usually we've heard that in thirds or even fourths. But hear how the harmonies sound much more open because Lin took a higher part. So we have da 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 da, and then we cut out and we have
Random time.
just the most freaking epic thing. So I'm gonna go back and listen to just how it builds up to that end again.
Keeping time every time. Right on time.
So it's a lot of the chromaticism that we've talked about. We usually hear in the Cuban style of music, especially in like when used in this form. How it goes from the natural seven to the sharp seven to the root, and when it hits the root, we have like the full ensemble, like all the voices and all the brass go doing like that crazy melody at the end, the super high melody.
Random time.
And that's not like a leitmotif or anything. We haven't heard that before in the piece, but it just sounds so cool to have them all singing up there again.
Random time.
And then it goes 5/8, or it's like the fifth to the root, and the trumpet just like hangs over. And oh my gosh, it's just such a good arrangement, such a good composition. Lin-Manuel Miranda does not do a bad job with the performance, but I think where he really shines is the fact that like this is such a well composed, such a well written piece of music. Even if the raps are my least favorite parts, like they are still well done. And I don't know, this was kind of a long video, but I really wanted to unpack this song because it's an absolute masterclass in songwriting and orchestration, and even just like writing for the Cuban style of music. And I don't know, maybe it just brings back memories from when I played stuff like this with jazz groups. But yeah, so that's kind of all I had for you guys today. I really wanted to break down this song because I really love it. But yeah, that's all. So I will see you guys in the next one.